Well, we hear and see things about the world's most successful people, some amazing stories of folks who started out with nothing and now have it all. On top of that, they seem to be happy and healthy, and the people who work for them love them. Well, how do they do it? In his new book, The Good Among the Great, 19 Traits of the Most Admirable, Creative, and Joyous People, Donald Vandermark reveals the secrets to success of those who've reached the top. The book shows you how you, too, can reach the top without selling out in the process. That is. We're pleased to have Donald with us in studio this morning. And the idea from this book for you actually stemmed from a series of interviews you did at CNN and CNBC. You talked to some of the most successful people in the world, and you said, you know what, all these folks have something in common here, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of these characters are okay, and a few of them are nasty pieces of work.
Right.
Let's face it. And then a few of them, every once in a while I come across someone who is just marvelous. Their staff love them. Their achievements endured. And they, interestingly enough, were the most open about their lives, their philosophies on achievement and everything else. And I would do these interviews, and they would take me off on these great journeys about how to be a better person, really.
Give me an idea of some of the people we're talking about.
Charles Schwab, for instance. He built his business on empathy for the small investor. And he says that unabashedly. And empathy is one of the traits that Abraham Maslow, the great 20th century psychologist, said belonged to the healthiest, the strongest psychologically. When Schwab said that to me, I was like, whoa, Maslow's really onto something. Mm-hmm. So there are many others, like Warren Buffett in the business world, Andrew Weil, the great holistic medicine pioneer, Meryl Streep, the actress. If you listen to what she says, she enunciates these traits. They just come flowing out of her. And she doesn't even know it. She's just voicing her own personal philosophy.
Let's talk about some of the traits these people have, and you go into this in great detail in the book, but one of the things, and it's sort of getting not just the trait, but what the trait means. For example, on being realistic, you talk about.
Okay. Really marvelous, and successful people, and even just successful people, are profoundly realistic. The rest of us seem to think that our perceptions of the world are basically correct. The really successful people understand that they have to clean their mental windshields. Mm-hmm. They have to check in with their smartest, most admirable friends for feedback. They recognize that reality is a slippery thing.
Also, you talk about these successful people, but it's also important on being laid back.
Yes.
And you think of these people, they're type A's, they're this and that, and we're going in and we're going to do this, and it's like it's almost a war every day, and it's a battlefield, but actually laid back is the way to go.
Well, they see the forest, not just the trees. So they step back, they have a coolness. There's usually a sort of a deep rudder, a calm about them. And I write about a woman who's basically a mom, just a great community person, who went through 3 harrowing experiences, including rape at the age of 45. She cooked dinner for her family that night, laid back, cool, detached. They're able, think of the Navy SEALs. That's a group that embodies this trait.
On being joyous, too, because my mother always said something, which is, and she's brilliant, by the way, a brilliant philosopher, don't let anybody steal your joy. And that's what happens when you go around, and sometimes people try to steal your joy. And you find one of the traits is being joyous.
Exactly. Meryl Streep says, guard your good mood. Guard it. Fend it off, because there are all sorts of circumstances and others who want to take it away from you. But remember, if you have these traits and you start thinking about them, they evolve and support each other, and eventually you start succeeding more in life. That helps you alone to be more joyous.
Another thing you talk about, which is fascinating in this day and age of Facebook and Twitter and all of the others, YouTube and the me, look at me type stuff, is guarding your privacy.
Yes. These people prize their privacy. Now, they happen to be leaders in many instances, so they become public figures, and they're out there, but they recognize that fame distorts reality. And all this, people start, there's all this adulation, which makes them, they don't think properly about their own personalities. It becomes a barrier between them and others. They really like actually being quite discreet and living their own lives. So they prize privacy. Anyone who's out there just for the fame, and we know a bunch of names like Donald Trump and others.
Absolutely.
Immediately, that is a telltale sign that's not the person we want to join.
Which leads to another trait, being unaffected.
Yes. So unaffected means that we're all buffeted by the media these days, by friends, family, others who want us to be a certain way. They want us to do certain jobs. They want us to basically take on what they would like us to be. Really marvelous people lead their own lives. They're autonomous. They're unaffected by the zeitgeist, if you will.
And last thing, we're short on time, but you say that being ethical here actually does pay off down the road for people.
It does, because your reputation is profoundly important. And if indeed you treat people ethically, it greases the wheels of social and business contract. So you'll see that these marvelous characters have great long careers, whereas the flash-in-the-pan characters, they may cheat or cut corners, but they don't make that much money in the end.
Well, the book has a lot for us to learn and a lot to emulate. It is The Good Among the Great, 19 Traits of the Most Admirable, Creative, and Joyous People. It is by Donald Vandermark, and you can check it out and get more information at donaldvandermark.com. It is a pretty good read. You're going to learn a lot and have a lot of fun, too. Donald, thanks a lot for coming in. Appreciate it. Great chatting with you.